course, campaigner, former London mayor and Dover parliamentary candidate who last week rather dramatically left the Reform UK party. He is the great Howard Cox. Welcome to the show, Howard.
Hello, Kevin. Thank you for having me, mate.
Thank you for joining us. Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about what I just mentioned in a while. But first of all, people are getting their knickers in a twist, particularly Labour and Keir, about Elon Musk and his intervention in British politics. As I say, the twist now seems to be, and I wouldn't put this past him, that Dominic Cummings, you know, that old political disruptor, former aide to Boris Johnson, is helping fuel Elon Musk's attacks. Well, either way, first of all, in my view, Elon Musk, this is a free country. He's got every right to voice his opinions about what's going on here. He's got every right to attack Keir Starmer and the Labour government if he wants to. And Dominic Cummings, if he wants to help Elon Musk, has also got every right to do that. You might not like it, but in a democracy, I don't see what either of them are doing wrong. Do you?
None whatsoever. I love it, Kevin. I think it's great. I mean, you've got two guys wanting a smaller government. I mean, we know that when Donald Trump comes in next week, Elon's going to be charged with trying to reduce the cost of the state and actually make the state smaller. And I know Dominic Cummings has been calling for that for ages, that sort of thing. The two of them have got together, and I think they're going to synergise, and maybe the Western world might learn from what they're trying to do. And, I've got no problem with it. The only problem I have with Elon Musk, I love his interventions. I love watching what he does and what he says. And by looking at this, it looks like Dominic Cummings might be behind some of his rhetoric. But from my point of view, the only thing I'm against him doing is saying who should be the leader of any political party. That's the only thing I'm saying. That's nothing to do with him. That's down to the electorate.
Yeah, I mean, I take that point. I mean, it's arguable. I mean, I can understand that a lot of people find his interventions from across the Atlantic irritating, and they go, oh, it's misinformation, it's not true. Sometimes I would say the accuracy of his interventions could be questioned. But, there's no law that says you have to be right about everything. This obsession with misinformation. Yeah. Ordinary people spread misinformation every single day. It is not and cannot ever be against the law. So I understand what you're saying, when he says Nigel Farage isn't fit to lead the party, they need a new, Reform UK needs a new leader. I understand people getting annoyed by that, but he's got a right to do it if he wants to. It's a free country, it's a free democracy. As I said earlier, Howard, what annoys me, the standard issue, a pushback from the left is that the right are spreading lies and misinformation, and they usually throw hate in as well for good measure. Hate and lies and misinformation. Well, what about the misinformation that Starmer allowed to be spread in the summer? When we were not told that the Southport murder suspect's home had been raided and they found an Al-Qaeda manual and ricin poison, the favourite poison of terrorists. We were not told that for 3 months. So Keir Starmer himself, if he didn't exactly spread misinformation, he allowed misinformation to be spread on the part of the police and the Crown Prosecution Service. So as I say, Keir Starmer, people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, right?
Kevin, you're absolutely right. And let's face it, this is all about a cover-up. It will eventually come out, who is actually culpable for what's going on. And obviously it's gone right to the top. And why is Starmer not allowing a national inquiry into, obviously, this serial rape gangs of these people on our children right across the country? Just beggars belief why he's not allowing that to happen. So, and I was, approached by not quite a whistleblower, but someone who was actually there at the arrest of the Southport killer. And as he was being arrested, he was shouting Allahu Akbar.
Well, allegedly, and I've got to say allegedly, Howard, we've got to be careful.
Well, the person that's told me, I trust implicitly.
Well, we have to be careful. That's just an allegation, but I take
the point is, Kevin,
your comment on board.
Yeah, I take your point about that, and I respect what you're saying. The point I'm saying is that there is a cover-up somewhere along the line. There's too much going on, and it's got to come out, and that's what a national inquiry would happen, certainly with the rape gang. So, yeah, I don't know why Starmer is, people in glass houses, you made the point, and he's guilty of that big time.
Yeah, I mean, as I also said, all my analogies come in thick and fast. Take the plank out of your own eye before you, Keir Starmer, before you start pointing at the splinters in other people's eyes. What we were kept in the dark about, to go back to your point, what we were kept in the dark about was the clear alleged connection between this guy and terrorist extremism. This clear alleged connection. There clearly was, and we were not told. Those charges of the Al-Qaeda manual possession and ricin poison 3 months after the murder charges. That was purely, I think, to keep the public in the dark during incendiary times when the mood was running high. So, again, I'm not necessarily, well, I think I am criticising him for this, but, I can understand why Keir Starmer did it, but don't go on. Don't keep accusing other people of misinformation when the Prime Minister sat on information that was relevant to this suspect. So it's as simple as that. To move on, Howard, you left Reform UK last week, rather sensationally. That followed in the from the resignation of the excellent Ben Habib as well, former deputy leader. What did you make last week? I think it was Friday when Nigel Farage appeared on ITV News and suddenly seemed to come out with a change of policy on Reform UK's policy when it came to Shamima Begum, the ISIS bride, who's not a British citizen. He all of a sudden started saying, I'm thoughtful. He's changing his mind. He starts to parrot Zia Yousaf, later on the chairman of Reform UK. So I think we can take this as official policy. He was on the telly. He said, circumstances have changed in Syria. There's been a regime change. And as such, it may be that Shamima Begum will be safer for Britain back in a British high-security jail than in Syria. Where are they getting this nonsense from? The way I see it is, if they let her out and she wanders around the Syrian desert, fine by me. I don't see any way how this country can be safer with that ISIS bride terrorist back here in Britain. What on earth are Reform UK playing at here?
Well, what happens, and I couldn't agree more with your sentiment. We don't want to back here whatsoever, or any other ISIS terrorists. But the point is, Sebastian Gorka, he's I think it's Mike Waltz's assistant, who's a national security advisor to Trump, have sort of issued a sort of, let's think about where they should be best placed. Should they be in a British prison or something like that? But the problem is, she would be let out. She wouldn't. There's not enough evidence to do anything with her. And the point is, and Sadi Javid was dead right. They're getting rid of her passport and her British citizenship. She should go back to where she was, she's got her other citizenship, which I understand is in the Bangladeshi area or something like that. The point is, I believe that Nigel, and Nigel was right about Southport, all the cover up there. So And I still support Nigel in terms of Reform UK, contrary to what people are thinking. But in this case, what's happening is, I think Nigel is trying to play the middle ground with America. He doesn't want to upset anyone, and because he's basically very close to the administration over there, I think he's just saying all he's saying, and this is what Zia was saying. He's just saying, let's consider this, let's think about it. I don't think we need to think about it, like you, Kevin. We don't need her here.
Yeah, I mean, this is contrary to everything he always said in the past. In the past, Nigel was one of us. didn't want to see her in this country ever again. She's not a British citizen. You know, Seb Gorka, who I usually have a lot of time for, you know, he was talking about America apparently is going to repatriate all of its ISIS terrorists from the Middle East and put them on trial and put them in jail. And Seb was going on about our moral responsibility. Well, when politicians start talking about moral responsibility, it means they haven't really got any reason for it. Well, you can repatriate your terrorists if you want, Seb. I think we won't. How about that?
Well, what the issue for at the moment in time, and one reason why, well, the only reason I left is what we haven't got free speech in Reform UK. I was criticised big time, as you know, about the Tommy Robinson thing. Yeah. I don't support Tommy Robinson, please. Everyone listening to him, viewing this, I don't support him, but I do support the fact that he's been trying hard to bring to the forefront this issue of the rape gangs. And obviously Elon Musk agrees with that. And because I mentioned that, I was told quite categorically 3 or 4 days before I resign, if I carry on talking about Tommy Robinson, I will be actually expelled from the party. And I'm sorry, I can't have that. I agree with 95% of everything in the Reform UK contract with the people, the manifesto. In fact, you know, I helped put some of that together. So I still believe in it. And what I'm worried about is Nigel is moving a little bit to moving left, closer to the middle ground. And we need something, not on the far right, we just need Thatcherite policies again, small state, low tax, you know, and protecting our borders. Those things are what I stood for and what I will continue to fight for. It's sad that I think they might be acquiescing towards the middle ground.
Yeah, I mean, my feeling about, I think what Reform UK should have done about Tommy Robinson, and by the way, I do think there's an argument for the fact that he has been given a rather severe punishment. Yeah. For his alleged crime. Well, no, it is his crime now. I don't think most people in his position will get 18 months. So there's an argument that he's a kind of a political prisoner, but I don't want to get involved in that. My view on, I have no real feelings about Tommy Robinson at all.
Same as me.
But if I was running Reform UK, I wouldn't be out there stridently denouncing him and saying we don't want him to be a member. Well, I can see why they might not want him to be a member, but why all the strident denunciations? Because when Starmer does that, he sounds like Kemi Badenoch or Keir Starmer. He sounds like a mainstream Westminster political party leader, and I don't think that's what Reform UK supporters want from Reform, do they?
Of course they don't. I mean, my inbox and my telephones, messages and things have been very much supportive that I'm standing up for my principles of actually that whole point. The issue we have at the moment, and I agree with you, I don't know Tommy Robinson, never met him whatsoever. All I know that I've seen that film, which he showed again, which is in contempt of court, why he's got in prison. I just want people to recognise that he's actually highlighted it, and Elon Musk has pushed it right to the top of the agenda, and those are the congratulations I gave for doing that. Nothing more, because we all want to protect our children from these gang rapes. Yeah. And so that's what my problem. Now, the thing about what's happening with Reform UK, which is a big issue for me, is that, you know, I joined it, as I say, as one of that lot. You know, I'm a good friend with Richard Tice. He's a good mate.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
Yeah, and to say that oh, we don't want that lot in, well, most of that lot are Reform UK voters. Yeah. And that was really a bad move.
Yeah. I mean, as I say, I'm not getting involved in what I think about Tommy Robinson, and nor are you, Howard. Yeah. But I think that Mr Farage and Mr Tice should take on board that for the reasons you just stated, a lot of Reform UK supporters are not as dismissive of Tommy Robinson as Nigel and Richard are. And that may cause them problems.